Welcome, fishing enthusiasts. You're tuned into the Let's Catch Fish show. I'm your host, Captain Ken Strimple, and I'm thrilled to have you with us. Alongside me is my trusted co-host, Big Fly's Johny Grasta. Each episode will bring you the best fishing tips, thrilling tales from the water, and expert advice to make your fishing adventures unforgettable. Hey everybody, this is Captain Ken with Let's Catch Fish. This is our second episode of our podcast. I'm here with Big Fly's Johny Grasta. We have a lot to cover this week. I'm very excited. So Johny, what has been going on since we were together last week?
So since last week, there's a lot of stuff going on in fly fishing, especially at Orlando Bass Pro. We're planning more fly fishing events coming up. We've got home and garden shows in Orlando coming up, and I'm always trying to help somebody with a fly fishing problem here or there. A lot of guys like to fish the Indian River over here in Melbourne. A lot of things to take a look at is bait fish in the water. If you see snook and redfish busting up on bait fish, those are good signs, but it's not necessarily a guarantee that you need to hook in the fish. And poppers and subsurface flies will work. And if you don't have that kind of gear and you want to get into some spinning gear, Captain Kenny's got an outfit over here that is fairly inexpensive. And for under $175, you can get a rod, a reel, a bait bucket, some jig heads, and some spare spools of line for your leader material, and buy some live bait and get on the water and start catching fish.
Yeah, let me go and cover all that for you. What we were doing last week when Johny was out using his spay rod, and when I caught those 5 redfish, it was a really basic system that you can go and get from Walmart. You can probably get it on Amazon. I was running with a medium heavy Fierce 4 pen combo setup, which, you know what, I wound up landing that 200 to 300 pound Goliath grouper on this exact rod. So what you want to do is, get yourself some, this is 20 pound, but you can go and get 30 pound spider wire or Power Pro. Just get 20 pound of, this is just some Berkeley Vanish. You can also, if you don't want to spend that, you can just go get some Trilene, just 20 pound. You're going to wind up finding that you're going to get more bites. That's the cool thing, is that if you go with too heavy of a leader, it's going to limit how many bites you get, obviously, but it's going to be stronger. I personally like to use the 20 pound, get more bites. Yeah, you're going to break a few off, but I'd rather have the bites. A simple system or setup is just go get yourself 1/8 ounce jig heads, and then just hook. You can hook the shrimp through the back. You can also, if you can avoid their little brain, I'll show a video on that one of these days, where if you just put it in front of their brain, they'll stay alive on the hook. If you're going to be wade fishing, I brought up just a basic bait bucket. Take a little dock line and just go and do a loop knot, wrap it around your waist and walk along. You'll have all the shrimp you need. And guys, the craziest thing, this whole setup, even with 2 dozen shrimp, would be no more than $175. Isn't it? It's just mind-blowing. How much was that outfit you were fishing with?
So the outfit that I use is a 15-foot 10 weight, is the brand new Sage R8 spay rod. Retail goes $1,300. Then I have that teamed up with the old Mariner lever drag rail made by Paul Conover. It is an expensive setup. It is worth every penny. But if you were going to get involved with two-handed fly rod fishing, just like with the spinning gear, there's plenty of options for a couple $100. You could get a rod, and if you have existing reels, you can put the 9 and 10 weight fly reels on there, and you don't have to get crazy with shooting heads and intricate sink tips and mow tips and all that other stuff. You can keep it extremely simple, just like with the spinning gear that Kenny has. And Kenny, if we were going to use footwear, what kind of footwear would you recommend for somebody that's going to wade fish with either a fly rod setup or, say, a spinning setup?
I would encourage people that, just let's start out from here. This is salt water. there are stingrays that are, moving around in there. Always keep your eyes open for anything like that, but shuffle your feet when you're moving along. I, as much as my wife hates it, Crocs, I find, are very effective because if you lose one, they float. Another thing is just water shoes. That's a very popular way of, moving around out there. But what I like about the Crocs personally is it's a hard rubber that if something does hit it, it seems like that will stop the penetration. But, it just depends on what you prefer.
This show is proudly sponsored by Kenzie Boats, Melbourne, Florida's premier boat tour and fishing charter company. Whether you're a seasoned fisherman or just looking to enjoy a beautiful day on the water, Kenzie Boats has the perfect adventure for you. With Kenzie Boats, you can customize your tour duration to fit exactly what you want to do. Experience thrilling dolphin and manatee watching, island hopping, hanging out at sandbars, enjoying breathtaking sunset tours, or even tubing. Visit kenzieboats.com to pick your next unforgettable fishing charter or boat tour.
We have our producer Zianka sitting next to me, and she's going to go over the topic of bioluminescence. It's something that I do with Kenzie Boats, where I do sunset cruises in bioluminescence, and there's a lot of feedback currently about that. Well, Zianka has done research and can explain what this is.
What bioluminescence is the emission of light by a living organism, and it can happen in algae, jellyfish, and even some fish. In rivers, usually, like our Indian River Lagoon, it's caused by dinoflagellates. There is this enzyme called luciferase, and it works with a molecule called luciferin, and it's activated by oxygen. So when activated, which is usually triggered by motion in the water, it produces light, and that's why we see that phenomenon of bioluminescence.
One of the videos I was watching, a shrimp was eating the plankton, but the shrimp was glowing with bioluminescence from its inside out, and a fiddlefish wound up coming over and eating the shrimp.
It is thought to be a defense mechanism for these, say, dinoflagellates or organisms that do emit light, so that they take the attention away from them. So that if there's a predator fish and you see a bright light, there's another fish that comes and attacks it, and therefore they can protect their colony. So bioluminescence is not just beautiful, it is a predictor of the environmental health. And dinoflagellate in large numbers are an indication of the nutrient levels and water conditions. The Indian River Lagoon can get murky at times. Sometimes it's clear, sometimes it's murky, but it doesn't, if it's not perfectly clear, it doesn't mean it's bad water. It just means it's a nutrient dense body of water.
Zianka, how long does it last? When does it start? A, and then B, how long will it go for? Because I know we've seen it, during the summer, and I'm assuming that it's temperature based.
So typically around here, we've seen it from July to November. Around 4th of July is when we start noticing it. And it is likely temperature dependent because these organisms can have their optimal metabolic rate when it's warmer. So November it starts getting cooler, so they start kind of disappearing. So if you want to go on a bioluminescent tour, that's probably the best time to come try to make that happen.
Well, cool. I always have to throw the shameless plug out, but Kenzie Boats, we do sunset cruises, so you can come out and see a beautiful sunset, sometimes coordinate it with a rocket launch, and then when it gets dark, when the bioluminescence is going, it's like watching stars burst with all the bait fish and the dolphin. If you have the privilege to experience it, it's just an unforgettable experience. Zianka, thank you so much for coming and explaining that and being part of our second show.
I would like to introduce someone that is a really nice person, great fly fishing ambassador for men and women, Samantha Talbot.
Hi, Samantha. Welcome.
Hey. Thanks for having me on.
Samantha, can you do us a favor and go? I know you were at Bass Pro with Johny, and there was a women's fly fishing expo. Can you and Johny run through this whole experience so our listeners can appreciate what you did, and then hopefully maybe they'll want to get involved on one of the next ones?
So here's how I got contacted. Is in April, Fly Fishers International asked me to help facilitate an event, and we all collaborated. We hosted it at Bass Pro Shop. Then, as a result of that event, Samantha and I were able to connect through a third party through Fly Fishers International. And for anybody who doesn't know who Fly Fishers International is, it is the biggest fly fishing organization on the planet, and they cover everything. It is, from conservation to stewardship and education. And I'm going to let Samantha talk because she's probably one of the finer women's fly fishers representatives that I personally know.
Yeah, thank you, John. So I joined FFI for their Women Connect liaison just earlier this year. And then once I joined, I got introduced to John, and that's how we were able to get the event started at the Bass Pro Shop. But I was excited to work with John, and basically what I was really looking for in joining for the liaison is really bringing a lot more women themed events to Florida, basically. And things from beginners, somebody that's never tried before that just wants to get out there and give it a shot, to the fly tying, and then even the more advanced as well. And that's kind of was really our goal for the workshop, was we wanted to have this for women. And basically, whether or not you've never picked up a rod before or you're advanced, you could come and get lessons for both levels, and just kind of have the camaraderie and meet other women that are into the event as well, in the sport, to to kind of have them kind of link up with each other and kind of be able to introduce them to the sport that way.
And then you're also having a women's fly only snook tournament in Tampa, correct?
We are, yes. Yes.
Yep. So we're going to be promoting that too, is through social media and all that, and connections with Samantha and Jackie Clauser and some of the other women that were at this event. I think it's groundbreaking stuff, and I can't wait to see what happens in September.
Yes, we're excited for it too, because we had at the event that we had just this past month at the Bass Pro Shop, we had a lot of women. They were first timers. So we had a couple there that had just gotten into the sport or they'd never tried it before. Three of the women that were there had never tried it before. Two of them have really kind of fell in love with it, and they're going to plan to do the tournament this year and start doing the fly fishing. And that was kind of something I just really wanted to, like I said, kind of bring, because I had even last summer, I had a friend come down from Pensacola, introduced her to the sport. She really got into it. She fly fishes now in Pensacola. She's part of her local chapter up there. She plans to come down and do the tournament as well. So just kind of really, having different events and, and just fun events that women can go to and enjoy the sport.
I know Johny is an exclusive fly guy. Like, he won't do anything other than fly fishing.
He meant to say other than a spay rod.
And well, I'm trying to at least just put it under the umbrella of fly fishing. He's obviously gone down a specialty path, which you're obviously well aware. But do you do any other style of fishing, or are you just like totally sold out 100? Because I'm a drift boat captain from up north, so I center pin, I fly fish, but down here I also am going offshore, but I see them all like tools in a toolbox, but I'm always curious on, is somebody like you, are you exclusive to the fly, or do you try other?
So what Kenny's trying to say is John Grasta lives and dies by the spay rod, okay?
I kind of said that in the wrong way.
So I kind of turned into where I pretty much, for the most part, only pick up the fly rod. I did grow up fishing, use the spinner rod. And then when I got into the fly fishing, it basically kind of what happened for me was I did my very first fly fishing tournament, it's held here in this area as well in St. Pete. And it was a 2-day tournament, and of course, I could only fly fish it, and then it kind of forcing me to do the fly fishing to get better and improve. And after that, I was hooked too. But after that, I just only wanted to pick up a fly rod. Want to make sure I had, every opportunity to try and practice and get better.
That's what I'm fine. It doesn't surprise me if you're running with Johny. It just, we're already figuring out ways that when we go offshore, that I have to use conventional equipment to try to bring in these fish that he can fly fish too. And he's trying to tell me that he doesn't need any help. He'll just bring in these fish from 800 feet deep, and he's just going to bring them up to the fly. He's calling it dredging. I'm like, you're not going to dredge that
It's
deep.
an actual fly fishing term. It's called dredging. It's like jigging with a spinning rod. It is super popular. Guys are using fiberglass fly rods, and they're like beating themselves up. If you get on YouTube more, you could see some of this stuff.
Yeah.
He's trying. I still am not totally a believer on it, but it's like if Johnny's saying it, I'm like, I'm not against it, but it's hard for me to think when you're like trying to go out and catch, big grouper, or tile fish that are 800 feet deep. How are you ever going to get a fly down to something at those kind of depths? But again, nothing surprises me about Johny, and now you. I can already kind of see when you've totally committed yourself to 100% into that particular path, that I'm very intrigued with getting him out there and putting all that to the test.
Well, the interesting thing that I love about fly fishing is that it brings people together. And I'm always saying fly fishing in the state of Florida needs more unity. The reason I joined Fly Fishers International is because it's like being in an HOA. I hope those guys don't get mad at me for saying it. But the more people that care about the sport and want to make positive change within the sport, we need to support the people that have been in the organization. All right. And as a new member, and with people like Samantha and I, we're a little bit younger, and then having Bob Clauser is a friend and a mentor, we pretty much are getting the unification that the sport needs down here in Florida from the home and garden shows. As far as Orlando Bass Pro Shop goes, that's a center hub, and we pretty much can facilitate the events. We can bring people together and have a good time. And Samantha will tell you as much as anybody else with you and Zianka. Every event that we're hosting at Bass Pro Shop, it covers children, teenagers, single parents, people that might be 40, 50 years old. They've been wanting to fly fish for decades, and now all of a sudden they've got the right people to drive that enthusiasm and promote the sport. And now we have this group that pretty much, in my opinion, we're going to support tournaments. We're going to support youth. We're going to support 2-day events like in October at Bass Pro Shop. So the nice thing is the people that need to be together are together right now. And it's just the group is going to get larger and larger. And we're going to make such a big push in fly fishing that it's going to make Lefty Craig smile in his better place. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. And kind of what John was saying too, a lot of the conversations I've had with women in the fly fishing is, a lot of them are already fly fishing and they just didn't really know about these groups that they can go to and have the events. And then some have never tried it, but they've always wanted to. So now that they've got some of these events where, you can go as a beginner and try it out, a lot of them are really excited for that.
Somebody was to contact me at Bass Pro because I gave a mother and her son your phone number the other day. What kind of information could we share with everybody to get in contact with you if they're in the Tampa and Sarasota areas?
Sure. Yeah, sure. So for social media, it would be through the Instagram page would be Snook Jam. That's actually, it's more of my husband has his own outdoor photography, but Snook Jam, you can reach me through Instagram.
Okay.
Also, we're going to have an Instagram page for the tournament, so you can find me that way as well too. That's the Suncoast Fly Fisher Women Tournament.
And then Suncoast is your fly club, correct?
That's our local chapter here, yes.
Your local chapter, okay. So that'd be important that we would want to share that with anybody that didn't know who Suncoast was. Well, thank you, Samantha, for taking time to spend a few moments with us on the show. And like I say, fly fishing is getting a real big push, and we are connecting with the right people to help make those events happen. Anybody that's interested in help, reach out to us, and we'll do the best we can to help you all out.
This is going to take us to the end of this segment, and so we can have a commercial break, and we're going to see you at the next one. Thank you, everybody, and please don't leave now. We'll be right back.
This show is proudly sponsored by Kenzie Boats, Melbourne, Florida's premier boat tour and fishing charter company. Whether you're a seasoned fisherman or just looking to enjoy a beautiful day on the water, Kenzie Boats has the perfect adventure for you. With Kenzie Boats, you can customize your tour duration to fit exactly what you want to do. Experience thrilling dolphin and manatee watching, island hopping, hanging out at sandbars, enjoying breathtaking sunset tours, or even tubing. Visit kenzieboats.com to pick your next unforgettable fishing charter or boat tour.
I just want to say how amazing that was to have Samantha on the show. Johny, thank you for introducing us to her and inviting her on.
I think the Let's Catch Fish show is going to be real popular here in the state of Florida, if not the whole East Coast. And we have an opportunity to make a big difference in fishing. Hey, Kenny, you were mentioning about planer board fishing like we used to do in Lake Ontario up in north from where we're from. So how, if somebody was interested in planer board fishing in saltwater, how would you go about doing it? And what kind of gear do you need to get started? Is it expensive? Can you buy stuff that's affordable and incorporate that? Is it a difficult method of fishing in saltwater?
It's it's crazy. What we're used to, Johny, up in New York, in Lake Ontario, Lake Erie, Lake Michigan, all the Great Lakes, they're using what's called yellowbirds, where they run them off to the side of the boat, and then they hook up, they run their lines off those. It's totally different in the saltwater world. I had to come to terms with that. The planers that we use down here run straight down behind the boat, and they're from size 1 to, I'm using up to size 6s. They go even higher. I've seen them up in the teens, but I don't even have a rod that can handle that kind of tension to push those things. It'll just pull a line off my spool. What's cool about them though is that they catch king mackerel, they catch Spanish mackerel, they catch bonita, they catch tuna, they catch mahi, they catch sailfish. They cover everything. So you can use them for just basic lures. It allows them to get the lures down, and then you can get them to where the fish are feeding.
So you can use spoons and artificials and jigs and a variety of hard plastic stuff like that, right?
You can run like sea witches to squid to just spoons to jigs. It's incredible. And what's cool about it is that once you get the system down, you can lift your rod, drop it down, it will engage, and then when a fish hits it, it will just release it, and your rod will pop, and game on. Next week's show, we have a very exciting guest. I don't think people realize, but in fly fishing, in this country, it began in the Catskills in New York. There's a program that was called the Wulff School of Fly Fishing. This is dear to Johnny's heart because his mentor, Kevin Cram, was a student of the Wulff School of Fly Fishing. He's going to be a special guest on next week's show. And I just thought it's just going to be very dear to my heart and to Johnny's because when I owned my pro shop up in New York, Kevin used to do fly fishing or fly casting instruction over at my place. Our world goes back to Kevin Cram, which is pretty cool. So we're both very excited.
I'm super excited for anybody that doesn't know who Joan Wulff is. Back in the day, in like the 50s, the 1950s and 60s, before graphite resin fly rods were lighter and stronger and polyurethane coated fly lines, this little tiny woman was out casting men at national competition. So as far as I'm concerned, she's the queen of swing, and it is a big honor to be a student at Kevin's and carry on the traditions that Joan Wulff passed on to him, that he passed on to me, is a big honor for me.
So next week, we hope everybody can join us. Before we end this show, Johny, I know you're a guest on the page, but we have a Facebook page called Let's Catch Fish Special Guests. One of our fans and a very close friend of mine now, Frank Dayton, has a team that has taken care of that page when I shut that down after we left Rochester, that page is a living, breathing entity right now. It just, you go on there, there's always new material from weather to recipes to what fish are being caught in New York State and pretty much everywhere now. It's just, it's out of control. It's amazing. And I just want to say thank you, Frank, and your team for everything you've done. And we're very excited to be growing with you as we go forward with Let's Catch Fish. Thank you. Well, that wraps up this episode of the Let's Catch Fish Show. We hope you enjoyed our tips, tales, and expert advice. Remember, we're here every week with a new episode, so keep listening and stay hooked on Let's Catch Fish.